It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and I'll bring us our quick tip for the week. It turns out that macOS 26 keeps our clipboard history. If you go into Spotlight and scroll all the way down, system settings Spotlight, scroll all the way down, you will see results from clipboard. And it's a toggle for on or off, and you can set your clipboard history is available in Spotlight for 8 hours, 7 hours, or maybe 30 minutes or something. I don't have macOS 26 on this computer, so I can't look at it right now. But it defaults to 8 hours. And then when you invoke Spotlight, if you hit Control 4, it will show you a list of all the things that are on your clipboard. Unfortunately, this does not sync to iOS, or at least if it does, there's no way to surface it on iOS yet. But there it is, Clipboard Manager built into macOS. So more quick tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 11/21 for Monday, December 22nd, International Day of Mathematics 2025. Greetings, folks, and indeed, welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where we take tips like that and share them. We take, and they could be from you or us. We take cool stuff found, we share them. Could be from you or us. We take questions, we share them. Could be from you or us. And we try to provide answers, or at least insights, or a troubleshooting path. Or maybe sometimes we have to shrug our shoulders because not everybody can know everything. And then we learn together as a community. And that's kind of the point of what we do. And our learning is codified such that we are all but guaranteed to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include a couple of returning sponsors and a new one. New one is Copilot Money, where you can go to try.copilot.money/MacGeekGab for a limited time. This is your money money management app, beautifully organized, works across all of your devices, and there's some discounts. You get 2 months free with code MacGeekGab, and also 26% off your first year at that link. All of it's linked in the show notes, so you don't have to try and remember that. Barebones.com, of course, with BBEdit, the power text tool that I use for so many different things all the time. And Rula.com/MGG, where you can connect with quality therapists and mental health experts who specialize in you and take your insurance. Most patients typically pay about $15 per session when using insurance. We'll talk more about all 3 of those. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And here also in foggy New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete. Good morning, gents.
It is foggy today. Yeah, for sure.
It was so cold, and now it's in the 50s, and you can see almost 20 feet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, or not.
I can barely see my house from the office.
Right.
It's like, really, it's like, wow, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, here we are. Our giveaway this month is, you can go to macgeekgab.com/giveaway, enter to win a copy of Open In. And Pete and I are busy kind of prepping for scheduling meetings and trying to wrangle a calendar together for our upcoming CES trip, where we see it as our job to go and sift through the noise to identify the things that are of interest to us here.
And boy, is it noisy there.
It's a lot of noise. Yeah, it really, like, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun seeing all the tech, but it's also like very much like we are exhausted when we come back. It is work. And our CES coverage sponsors this year are Ecamm, Eero, BusyCal, MacPaw, and CCC Backup. And there's some special links and coupon codes in the show notes that you can click, and you can get those show notes via email at macgeekgab.com if you want to sign up for that, or you can just see them at macgeekgab.com. Whatever works for you. That opening quick tip of mine, when I stumbled onto it, I remembered Apple talking about this at like the WWDC keynote, that they were adding this, but I had never seen it before. So do either of you use it? Okay.
I still don't have 26.
Oh, none of us are running 26 on our podcasting machines. All right, let's have it. I am very close to. In fact, from a technology standpoint, I am ready to put macOS 26 on the machine in the studio here. I believe that all of the things that I would need it to do, all the drivers and everything are there. I have, with CES coming up, and then I've got a bunch of rehearsals. I also use this computer to manage like audio in my studio for lots of different things. And I'm not going to mess with anything. I already messed with things by changing my default sample rate from 44.1 to 48 kilohertz, which has thrown me for a couple of loops, but I'm over them now. So I'm not going to mess with anything until we're back from CES, and candidly, probably not until I'm back from NAMM, which is a couple weeks later. So, but I think I'm ready, but I don't know. Like I'm not thrilled with macOS 26. Like I don't have a burning reason to put it on this computer, and in all likelihood, slow it down. It seems to have slowed down most of my Macs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's by design, right? Now you got to upgrade.
Yeah. It's a lot of it is the things that we've talked about on the show here, you know, all the extra things that like Spotlight, and as it related to Spotlight, I mean, it's all kind of lumped in together, but all of the indexing that is done for Apple Intelligence, right? To give it that corpus of data that allows it to kind of be smart for you. The problem is it's not really doing anything that's smart for me, and yet it's indexing all the time on all my computers. So It's like, I don't know.
Although, go ahead, Adam.
Do you have, does it matter which processor you have? The slowing down? Like, do you
Possibly.
have an M, like I have an M4 now.
Right.
So I went straight from Intel to M4.
Yeah.
Smoking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on an OG M1 processor on my Mac Mini in the office. My laptop is an M2, and prior to macOS 26, I want to make sure I say this and that I'm not just hyperbolizing, I'll stand behind this statement. I feel like I do. Prior to macOS 26, I noticed no speed difference between the two when doing like all of my general stuff. Email, web browsing, whatever, right? I mean, certainly if I was doing something that was CPU intensive, the one with more CPU did it faster. But responsiveness of the system was exactly the same amongst all three of my Macs prior to updating any of them to macOS 26. And now my M2 laptop is definitely, like, subjectively, anecdotally, one data point, Dave, slower. My M2 laptop is faster, more responsive than my M1 in the office. For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, is there something specific to that in that build of macOS, that install of macOS in the office? Could be, right? I don't have enough computers here to like make some blanket statement. I can just speak about mine, but this was not a problem before macOS 26.
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
How's your free disk space between the two systems?
Disk space, totally fine. More than I need. Yeah. Both of them have 2 terabyte internal drives, and at least hundreds of gigabytes unused thus far. Yeah. However, RAM, it should be discussed. I have 16 gigs of RAM in the M1 Mini and 24 gigs of RAM in the M2. So that could be a differentiator. Again, I'm a use case of one, but I'm picky. So at least I notice things, even if I don't have enough data to say anything. But I know we've heard from others. Like I know my experience isn't unique.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
Go ahead.
It's just in general, just daily, like normal. I'm checking email. I'm surfing the web. That stinks.
It stinks. Yeah, it stinks. Exactly. It's just like I like a computer to be snappy and responsive. And I've thought about doing a nuke and pave downstairs. It's been a long time. This is on the M1 Mini. It's been a long time since I've done a nuke and pave. It's migration assisted way, probably through 2 different Macs. But in looking at everything, like I'm not convinced that that's going to help. I do use App Tamer on that Mac. Again, I used to use it years ago and then stopped because I had Apple Silicon chips and didn't. App Tamer is a process that runs and will throttle background or foreground tasks. You can configure it as you want. Same folks that make default folder, St. Clair Software. And it works fine with Apple Silicon too. And so I've been using App Tamer down there with pretty good success. But the fact that I'm choosing to spend my time to go out of my way to do that is indicative of something having changed. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping that the rumors that macOS 27 or Apple OS 27 in general are going to be more focused on improvements, like performance improvements and not feature additions. I'm hoping that those rumors are true. We need a snow leopard year, folks. That was a good, I know it's a blast from the past, but like when we went from leopard to snow leopard, things got better with snow leopard.
Yeah. That's actually pretty astute observation, I think, in the in where we are with this. This is
we want snow Tahoe.
At least they didn't call it. Well, at least they didn't call it Vista. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Soccer Hallways in Discord chat says we're waiting for snow Tahoe next year to fix everything. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Do you think? And it feels more like background processes. Like that's what I'm.
Yes.
That's the same thing I've been hearing is like there's stuff running in the background. So you'd think the immediate culprit would be all the glass stuff, right? Like they're trying to do too much. But I suppose we got enough GPU and that kind of compute to probably handle all that stuff. So it's probably more on that CPU side where it's just like they're just like you said with the AI in the background. We got so much stuff chunking in the background, between your photo, your library, AI for your photo library, AI for whatever else they're trying to do with Apple Intelligence, and then you're scanning all your stuff for your files and documents with Spotlight. Yeah. That's been ongoing for a long time. It feels like you're probably right. It's probably just come to a head. Like it started, we would have these problems when you would upgrade, right? It would go away after a couple weeks because they'd finish processing whatever they needed to process.
Right.
But now it's just constant and ongoing.
Exactly. It feels like, and I know I've said this on the show, it feels like it hasn't finished yet.
Right.
And it's like, well, how long? It's been months, guys. Like I think maybe we've bit off more than we can chew here. So. But your comment about the GPU, I know you dismissed it, but I might look into that on my Mac downstairs and see if it is the GPU thing, because it's all the system on the chip, right? I know that they're separate, but like maybe Liquid Glass is overtaxing the GPU on that computer when it's running 2 monitors, which it is. Like maybe that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easy enough to test because I think you can kind of start to turn off some of those features, especially with some of the accessibility options, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to mess with that for sure. Yeah, you've inspired me. This is good. Yeah. Cool. So I'm not after this conversation. I don't know when I'm going to upgrade the studio computer. Like I'm pretty happy with where it is.
Well, I was thinking because we were gonna, I'm probably not going to be able to make the show next week. And I was like, oh, maybe next week's a good time because if I run into issues, I can kind of have some time, while I'm on vacation, in air quotes.
Sure.
Like troubleshooting it if I run into issues. But now, after what you said, it's like I'm kind of in the same boat. It's again another one of those things where there's nothing I can point to in Tahoe that I'm like, oh, I really, really need to have that feature in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
everything's running fine. Why mess with it? It's the
Why mess with
classic,
it?
Like,
yeah. There have been years. Like last year, there was some extra continuity feature or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was something that, what was it? Do you remember?
I don't know if it's for you, but for me, it's the virtual iPhone, being able to have an iPhone on your Mac.
Yeah.
And the main reason is my work computer, we use an authentication system that I have to go to this app on my phone to get the VPN turned on.
Yes.
So now I could turn on the VPN and do it all on my Mac. I just bring up my phone on my Mac and I authorize the VPN connection from my Mac rather than having to pick up my phone and log in. Blah, blah. I can do it all on one screen, and it's been life-changing. It's the silliest little thing, but it's like so much more convenient. So I thought maybe that was it, because that was a big one last year, is to be able to access everything from your iPhone from your Mac desktop.
So that's a quick tip right there, because obviously I'm aware of that feature, but as soon as you described it, I was like, wait a minute, I have things that I log into that need an app on my phone, and I have to go and like get but I don't have to. I can pull up my phone on my Mac. So, but I just never thought to do it. And it's because it was habitual, right? It still is. It's like, oh yeah, I got to log into this thing. I get my phone out and to do the thing. It's like, no, you don't have to. Yeah.
iPhone mirroring. That's what it's called. Thank you, Soccer Hallways. iPhone mirroring. That was a big feature.
Evidently, that wasn't the one I needed last year, but a great tip. But yeah, there was something that I needed where I was very eager to get onto whatever we're on here. I can't remember anymore. It's all too confusing. macOS 15, and this runs great on here. Yeah,
it's the S years. We just escaped.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Thank goodness. Yeah, gosh. Yeah,
we're on to the T years. So
yeah, we were sort of inching through the alphabet. That's right. Yeah.
Mac OS Tacoma. Although I think it has to be places in California, though, right?
That's true. Yeah. So
Mac
unless
OS Tiburon, I think, is one that's been being thrown around.
That's right. There you go. Oh, why do they do this to us? All right. Well, you brought us back to quick tips. Do you have anything more to add on the whole macOS 26 slowing things down, Pete, before we wrap up our quick tips here?
No.
Okay.
But I'm going to wait for you guys before I upgrade to 26. I don't need it. Like you say, don't have a burning desire. I
feel like I've been a canary flying around in a coal mine for 4 months with this
and
thing.
You're dead.
So I'm not as yellow as I used to be. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. Dale has an interesting tip. He says, when we charge our phones or tablets or watches and laptops, it's easy to see if something is charging and easy to see when charging is complete. Many of us have other things that need charging: cordless tools, cameras, flashlights, radios, Christmas lights, etc. The charging indication can vary from device to device. A steady light may indicate that one device is charging, or on another, it could mean that the device is fully charged. Or it may be the case that a flashing light means it's charging. And then there's the color of the lights to consider. He says, I use a lot of rechargeable batteries, and in one of my chargers, a steady green light indicates charging. They go out when the light goes out when the batteries are fully charged. In another charger, for those same batteries, the lights are steady red while charging and steady green when fully charged. So it's easy to think that something is fully charged when in fact it has not finished. Until you are familiar, here comes the tip. Until you are familiar with the charging regime of a device, my tip is to take a short video when charging commences. You can compare the video later with the current, no pun intended, indication of the device to see if the lights have changed. That's brilliant. I like that. Yeah, especially with all the new devices that we're probably going to be getting, the car chargers and all those things during the annual holiday gifting exchanges. So, yeah, that's a good tip, Dale. Thank you. We got one more, Adam?
Yeah, we got one more little quick one from Kent. He says, hi, guys. I've been looking for an app that would essentially turn an old iPad into a weather station. There are several companies that sell standalone displays that display information like this called display boards. One such company can also display the information in a web page, which can be used on any device that has a browser. called DACboard, DAKboard.com. We'll have links in the show notes, obviously.
Yeah.
Free version allows one screen with a limited selection of predefined screen layouts, 2 calendars, weather, news, RSS, and photos. This one meets my needs. I have it set up to show a shared calendar and the weather information. There's also paid tiers at $5 and $6, $8 a month that have features and flexibility. To be honest, if the old iPad is capable of displaying split screens, one could open the weather app and the calendar app side by side and accomplish the same thing, but this seems to be a more elegant approach. So I love this. I love anytime repurposing like an old device to do something rather than it living its golden years out in a drawer or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Huh. That's pretty cool. Huh.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of, now there's a bunch of cool companies that make like wall mounts you can get and, cable management systems and stuff like that for these kinds of devices. So you could, set this up in your kitchen or a den or, where in your office, your home office, wherever's convenient, and just have a little instant always on display to just glance over and get a bunch of info.
I wonder if you could, I know you could code this up yourself. Yeah. And especially you could, this seems like a perfect candidate for vibe coding something.
Yes. Yeah.
And vibe code it and host it on GitHub because your usage is going to be so low. It's just you. You probably can do that with a free tier, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, this could be fun. Yeah.
If you want to get really crazy, you can vibe code it as a native app.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Yeah. Yes, Adam. Why, yes, Adam. That sounds like a brilliant idea. Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I like this. All right. We got stuff to talk about. We got questions and some don't get caughts and some cool stuff found. We have more stuff than we can shake a stick at or fit into what aims to be a 75-minute podcast. We're going to try our level best. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be telling you about some of our sponsors. And you know how much we believe in optimizing systems here, right? Finding a therapist shouldn't be any different than anything else we do. When I was looking for my current therapist, I wish Rula had existed. The back and forth, the wait list, trying to figure out who takes my insurance. It was a total mess, right? Well, our sponsor, Rula, fixes that. They partner with over 100 different insurance plans. Most patients pay just $15 a session. You get matched with licensed in-network therapists that actually fit your needs, and you can start as soon as tomorrow. It's therapy made smart, just like the tech we love. Don't get caught struggling to find help. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/MGG to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support the show and let them know Mac Geek Gab sent you. That's rula.com/MGG. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Go check it out. I really think you're going to like it. And our thanks to Rula for sponsoring this episode. And if you work with text, and let's be real, right? We all work with text. BBEdit 15.5 is an absolute powerhouse. This latest version adds Apple Intelligence writing tools support and new FTPS integration for secure remote edits and smart markdown folding. But what really gets me? The massive speed boost. Multi-file search and replace is lightning fast now. It used to be fast. Now it's lightning fast. And complex grep patterns, smooth. They still scare me, but they're smooth. So, at least there's that. I wish I wasn't scared of grep. But, hey, we've all got things. And if you love scripting or automation, well, things like strip diacriticals and the new Git tools make it feel like BBEdit reads your mind. Whether you're coding, writing, wrangling markdown, comparing two documents, counting the words in a document, I do it all with BBEdit and it just keeps up. Don't get caught using anything else. Download your free 30-day trial at barebones.com. And if you've got an older version, there's a fresh eval period waiting for you too. So please go check it out. I really think you're going to like it. And our thanks to BBEdit and Barebones for sponsoring this episode. Last week I mentioned we mentioned on the show that I had my water heater die, and or not my water heater. Let's hope that doesn't die too. Jeez, my well pump. Yeah, let's hope
My water heater's coming in today.
Manifest. You're the one with the water heater. That's
Thanks
why.
a lot,
Dave. And I was, as I was sort of dissecting what happened that day, we didn't record the show because I was attempting to troubleshoot this myself with the help of ChatGPT. That went nowhere. And then, we called the professionals in and everything was fine. But as I was thinking about it or telling somebody the story, it was like, the issue was ChatGPT convinced me, I'm pretty good with electricity. I think we talked about this last week, that, this capacitor was bad. It wasn't holding a charge, or wasn't taking a charge from my ohm meter. So I got a new capacitor, and I tested the new capacitor before I put it in, and it also did not take a charge. Now, could have had two bad capacitors. It turns out I did not, but that could have been coincidentally. But otherwise, and I tried it. Of course, it didn't work, and that's when we called the pros. But what happened there is a fascinating little phenomenon, because when I'm using ChatGPT to troubleshoot something I know about, like my Mac, it gives me 3 or 4 answers, sometimes. And I know immediately, like, well, that one doesn't make any sense. This one doesn't make any sense. This is wrong. That's wrong. And I can actually be very efficient using ChatGPT, because sometimes it'll remind me of something that I wouldn't have thought of, or tell me about something I didn't know, but I understand the context enough that it makes sense. With this, it told me, it was like, oh yeah, well, the reason is that your ohm meter is not sensitive enough to detect when that capacitor is charging. It's like, well, if you told me that 90 minutes ago, I wouldn't have gone and bought a new capacitor, And I was explaining this to somebody, and it evidently Michael Crichton coined the term Gell-mann amnesia. It was more about news articles where you sort of can dissect the ones that that you have some topical knowledge about, and then you wind up just believing the ones that you don't have topical knowledge about, even though that source is sometimes wrong. And then that's what happened to me with ChatGPT. So I share this to remind us all that, yes, troubleshooting with AI can be really helpful, but it can also convince you that boogeymen exist that are truly just boogeymen and aren't real, or solutions exist that do not exist. So just bear that in mind. I needed to remember this for me. So yeah. So there you go. That's all I have on that topic. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. What else do we have in the don't get caught section, Pete?
Well, I don't know. More self-inflicted stupidity wounds, maybe.
I mean, that's so more of what I just talked about. Yes.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
So I had one this week, and I needed to get into my laptop, which had frozen. And so I thought, well, I'll just wander over to my wife's iMac and SSH in and cut its throat and restart it, and I'll be good to go. And my laptop wasn't there. I'm like, but it's right there. It's on the network. I have a DHCP reservation. I know exactly where I keep it. And it wasn't there. I'm like, so I wound up having to do a really bloody murder and hold the power button until it just died.
Yeah.
But why? Why wasn't it where DHCP? It should have been there. Well, it turns out I had private Wi-Fi address on in my Wi-Fi settings. And my MacBook Pro grabs a different IP address every time rather than the assigned DHCP address. And my guess is it's spoofing a different MAC address so that it grabs another IP address. So in order to fix it on my home network, I go to System Settings, Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi name is Sharpie because I had a Sharpie pen sitting on the desk when I set up my Wi-Fi 20 years ago. Yep. You click the little icon and turn off private Wi-Fi address. And I think it's by network. I'm 99% sure it's by network that you set
it
that
is.
up.
It is
So,
by SSID, by Wi-Fi name.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I had it on my home network and thusly was not my assigned DHCP reservation.
I mean, it makes sense. It's on by default. So go ahead, Adam. Yeah.
I'm going to ask because when I set this up, I noticed there were 2 different settings for it. Fixed and rotating. I set mine to fixed, and it says, using a private address helps reduce blah, blah, blah. A fixed private address allows this network to track this Mac, but helps reduce tracking across other networks. So if it was fixed versus rotating, do we think this would matter, or would we still run into this problem?
So the last time I dug into this, we talked about it on the show, and I don't have any of those notes in front of me, but fixed is, so there's, if it's off, your computer advertises its MAC address, its MAC address on the network. Fine. If it's on and fixed, it comes up with some randomized one and never changes that until you turn it off and turn it back on again. Maybe it's what's the word? But anyway, maybe it's the same each time. Maybe it's calculated based on something. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't think so. Right. And then there's the rotating one. It changes every 2 weeks. So yeah, that was how it was. I don't know if that's still how it is, but that makes more sense. Like, you know, if you're going to a hotel for a week, you don't want it changing every 12 hours on you because that would be a pain in the neck. So that I think that's why Apple picked 2 weeks. If Pete had put it as fixed and made the DHCP reservation based on that now newly generated pretend MAC address, then yes, it would work fine.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason it wouldn't. Yeah.
That was my theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. But yeah.
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 But I got caught. I had to murder my machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, why isn't it there? And then even after I got it all back up and running, I'm like, why is it not at the MAC address or at the DHCP IP address that I wanted? And 2 or 3, release and renew didn't get it. And I'm like, this is weird. And then it hit me. Oh, duh.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, I know that I have all of mine correct now, but I'm sure I ran into this too. I mean, it's like, how could you not have? So, yeah.
Well, we got another DHCP one under Don't Get Caught, and this came in. I condensed it down a little bit as to what he wrote, but it really seems like a good discussion point and a great segue from my stupidity wound. And not saying, that didn't come out right as I segue into it. Craig, I'm not calling you stupid. Pensacola Craig writes in, he says, not sure if this is show-worthy since it's a corner case, but it surprised me enough to share. I upgraded from an older Orbi RBR50 mesh to a newer RBR 750p system to fix backhaul issues and support newer Wi-Fi standards. Everything worked except DHCP reservations. No matter what I tried, reservations wouldn't stick, and forums suggested drastic resets. After troubleshooting, I discovered a bizarre Orbi quirk. DHCP reservations cannot exist inside the defined DHCP pool. Unlike older Orbis and most routers, reservations must be outside the pool. Once I narrowed the pool and moved reservations outside it, everything worked perfectly. Weird design choice. Listener Pensacola Craig. I think I just said this was a good discussion, but it looks like I also put it into ChatGPT. I don't recall now exactly how I did it to go, is this the case? And of course, ChatGPT was only too happy to agree. So, that's the case. That's what's going on. But in our pre-show chat,
Orbi, right,
it turns
Adam?
out it isn't the case.
Yeah, well, no, actually, now that you read it, though, I have an older Orbi. So that's probably maybe something has changed. So I was saying, I have DHCP reservations inside my DHCP range on my Orbi, and it's fine. But I think I had the same. I probably have the same model he was referencing before his upgrade. So,
I assume your firmware is up to date on your Orbi, right, Adam?
Oh yeah,
and it's not that old. It's like Wi-Fi 6, I think.
But
right?
he was going from, I think he said the
50
series.
to the 750.
Yeah, so I think maybe something happened in this. Is that? I think that's the Wi-Fi 7 series. I'd have to go double check their.
I'm looking.
Their
Yeah.
model numbers, but maybe something when they moved to Wi-Fi 7, maybe they changed that requirement.
Well, whether Orbi requires it or not, he solved it by moving his DHCP reservations outside the dynamic pool.
But then you have to narrow your range. You can't just like have the full range and then, and then, I set it up that way, but is there, it makes you wonder, is there a reason why they're changing it?
Ooh, pick me.
Yeah.
Dave, you have an answer?
I might. I used to set things. When I first started doing DHCP reservations, they scared me, of course, because they were unknown to me, and so I stayed away from them for a long time. And I would just manually set the IPs on my computers. And then I had a power outage here, and needed to move our FileMaker server, which I was hosting at my office, to my dad's house where he had internet because we had like a 7-day power outage and we were using FileMaker. And it was a headless Mac. And when I plugged it in over there, no network access because it has a fixed IP for my network. So after that day, I decided I need to learn about reservations. So I did, and I put them all in, if the pool was 192.168.1.100 to 1.200, I put all my reservations at the beginning of the pool, 101, 102, whatever I did. And I thought I was doing the right thing because it's like, well, the DHCP server's handing them out. So it makes sense that it has to be in its pool. Otherwise, it can't hand them out. Like that was my logic on this. And that worked for a little while. And then I started getting issues where computers were on the same addresses. And I did a little more digging, and I realized that the best practice is, and as far as I know, has always been, to reserve your addresses that are outside of that range. Exactly what Craig is now reporting as enforced behavior, right? And it is 100% the best way to do things, and for good reason. So whether or not your router enforces this, I encourage you to adopt this practice. If your current router, depending on which DHCP engine they're running, and it's going to be something. It's like BootP or whatever, something on Linux. Like nobody rolls their own. Right. There's open source stuff. Whatever. Maybe BootP's not it. BootP's the client. Anyway, whatever it might be that they're using. It could be smart enough to not assign based on what it knows is out there, but sometimes it's not that smart. So I highly recommend keeping your range for truly dynamic addresses and then your reservations elsewhere in that range, elsewhere outside that range.
Yeah. It should be, and basically, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, the setup should be, you need to go into your router's DHCP server settings and tell it, okay, don't use the full, like mine defaults to, I think it's, again, let's say it's 192.168.1.1 is your router. Yep. It's like .2 through .254. So I could just go say, okay, don't start at 2, start at 100, and then use anything from 2 to 100 for my DHCP reservations.
Yeah, and then manually assign those. Yes. Cool. Thumbs up. Yep. And if you've already got a bunch of reservations and you don't want, and you have reservations about changing your reservations, don't. Right. Just change the dynamic range, and then that way you're good. That also ran me into a problem, though. I've told the story a few times that when we had our first post-COVID lockdown band practice here, my bandmates weren't able to get their iPads on the Wi-Fi. And it was because we had added a bunch of, smart home devices or whatever and filled up our range for the dynamic assignments. And so I just made my subnet bigger here. I made it a .254 instead of a .255, and everything's fine now. Now I have 400 addresses or whatever in the range. It's fine. So,
cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's.
So explain that, please, Dave. Making your subnet bigger. How does that work? Because mine is 255.255.255.0, and you put 254 in there.
I put mine is 255.255.254.0. But you have to do this with eyes wide open.
Right.
Because depending on what your IP address is, changing that might put a range. Like if let's say you're at 192.168.1. whatever, and you change it from 255 to 254, then it would be 192.168.1.x and 192.168.2.x. It just adds another one, right? But if you're at .2, I'm pretty sure it would add .1 below it. Like I think, but I don't know. I don't have that right. Like you got to look it up, and I don't. Yeah. In fact, I know that that's wrong because my network is .42, and I have .42 and .43 in my house now. So, but you just got to be aware of how it does it, and every router configures it differently. But yes, you can change that subnet mask, and then that will make your network effectively larger. You might have to go manually mess with the DHCP pool to do that. But yeah.
Sure, make it more bigger.
Make it more bigger. But you can. I mean, there's other ways of doing it. But that's the way I chose to do it, because I did it like I was playing my drums. And I was like, wait, I know what the problem is. Hang on. I just went over. I'm like, I think I can fix this real quick. And I did. And it was like, okay, great. We're back. And they're like, hey, my iPad's online. I'm like, yeah, I know. We're good.
Right.
Yeah. So now I've told you more than I know.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
And just if you're into that reservation thing, I do mine so that my wife has, 11 through 20. I have, 10 through 19. I have 20 through 29, and my daughter's 30, and I know the phones are on, 21, the computer's on 22, and so I know where their things are if I ever need to, SHE, and without having to guess.
I'm curious. The only things that I reserve are are Macs, right? Like desktop and laptops. I reserve those, because I could SSH into those, or I might run a server on them to test whatever, all of my like network storage, like my disk stations and that sort of thing are all fixed. My printer, right. Some IoT devices that I need to address, like anything that I need to like be able to get to remotely. And that's pretty much where it starts and ends for me. So iPhones and iPads, I never log into those, so I don't reserve for those. I did initially, but then as we passed iPhones around, it was like, oh right, Lucas is now on Dave's phone. Like, oh, this is too much of a headache. I turn it off. So I don't know, because I never try to log into any of those things. So,
and in the comments, Mac Prince subnetting Darby Dragons.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes. Subnetting, the RB Dragons. Yeah. So you got to be careful. Proceed with caution. Yes.
You probably won't mess things up. Go for it.
Oh, well.
And
maybe.
while you're at it, edit your Etsy host file.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. At the very least, before you start making changes to your subnets, take a screenshot of the way it looks in your router's interface. And then you can always go back. Always go back.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Cool.
All right. So we're done with the Don't Get Caughts. We have some reviews that came into macgeekgab.com/reviews.
We certainly did. I'll kick off the first one from NYCkRon, or KRON. I don't know. Maybe he's in radio. Learn new things. Great Mac podcast. That's 5 stars, by the way. Great Mac podcast to learn new things about your Mac, iPhone, etc. So short and sweet and much appreciated.
Thank you for that. These reviews do help. I know we talked about it last time, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But yeah, it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it changes it helps the algorithm, right? To get the show bumped to the top of the list.
That's the one thing it doesn't do.
No? Okay.
No, I know. Apple
All right, never mind then. Don't leave us any
Apple
review.
swears
Just
up
kidding.
and down that it doesn't, but it helps in so many other ways. But
Sure.
that's the one thing it doesn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, based on that, then Scotty Southard wrote in and gave us 5 stars, which helped us in many of those ways. He says, outstanding Mac tips, new stuff found, and great knowledge. I've been listening to the Mac Geek Gab podcast for 20 years. and it remains one of the most valuable and reliable tech resources available. The tips shared by Dave Hamilton, Pilot Pete, and Adam Christensen are consistently outstanding, practical, insightful, and immediately useful. It's clear they've truly found their passion, and their deep knowledge shows in every single episode. What truly sets Mac Geek Gab apart is how Dave, Pete, and Adam don't just talk technology, they help you understand it and fix real-world problems. Their explanations are clear, thoughtful, and grounded in real experience. As a premium member, the experience is even better. The customer service provided by Dave Hamilton, Pilot Pete, and Adam Christensen is exceptional. They go above and beyond to personally help listeners troubleshoot issues and get things working again, which is incredibly rare and deeply appreciated. Mac Geek Gab is knowledgeable, trustworthy, and consistently excellent. After 2 decades of listening, I can confidently say this podcast, led by Dave Hamilton, Pilot Pete, and Adam Christensen, remains absolutely best in class. Remember, don't get caught, and keep up the outstanding work, gentlemen. Scotty Southard, SWA and USMC. And I will add that it's clear to me that Scott Southard has written fitness reports for the Marine Corps, because that's what that reads like. Thank you, Scott.
That's great. Hey, yeah, we'll take it. I certainly couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. And thanks to all of our premium listeners. macgeekgab.com/premium is where you can go to learn about that. You all rock. It's fantastic. Let's see. I want to do some questions, and I feel like we're going to have time for that. The next thing that we'll do is talk about one of our sponsors. And, back in July, listener Corey sent in an app called Copilot Money to the show as Cool Stuff Found. And I've been thinking about it ever since. The summer was kind of crazy with everything that I had going on. But I've used the same personal finance app for over a decade. And it's gotten to the point where it feels like more work than it really needs to be. So this year, coming into 2026, I'm done with friction. I'm going to be switching to Copilot Money, our sponsor, and I want you to join me on this little mission that we're doing here, because it's built for people like us, tech savvy, detail focused, and privacy conscious. Copilot connects securely to your accounts and gives you a unified view of your spending, your savings, your subscriptions, and your investments. You can customize the categories to match your life, and the insights actually useful. And yes, it works beautifully across Mac, iPhone, and iPad, just like it's supposed to. And there's no ads, no upsells, no distractions. It's like the financial dashboard I always wanted, and probably the financial dashboard you always wanted too. So if you're ready to start 2026 with a system that finally makes sense, check out Copilot Money. And because it's 2026, for a limited time, you get 26% off your first year when you sign up at copilot.money. This is for new users on the web only. Get 2 months free with code MacGeekGab. Right, so you get the 26% off your first year, and then get 2 months free with code MacGeekGab. Start the new year with clarity, your money, beautifully organized, now across every device. Go check it out with me, and let's test this out together and make some good changes. My thanks and our thanks to Copilot Money for sponsoring this episode. All right, Elbert has a question. He says, Dear Pete and the gents, I am in charge of the AV at my very small church. We've been broadcasting over YouTube for a little over 5 years. We need to buy a new Mac laptop to run the AV and our YouTube channel. My question is, how much should we spend on a Mac to make sure we're able to continue a quality broadcast, implement any local audio or video needs, and future-proof our system? The church board trusts me and my experience enough that they've given me permission to spend whatever I believe. They don't want explanations. Just figure it out and buy what we need to do the job, which is great. They delegate well. That's good. He says they have an audio mixer that they'll link in with the Mac. Obviously, they're doing video stuff. They've got an input switcher, and they have 3 PTZ robotic 4K cameras and an HDMI to SDI converter box. So he says, I want to get a Mac that's powerful enough to handle any foreseeable new tech that we might want to integrate into our system, but I don't want to unnecessarily spend a lot of money. I don't think a MacBook Air would be enough, but what configuration of options in a MacBook Pro would you recommend? Adam, you want to start this one off?
Yeah, so I tried. My immediate question was, there's a lot of information here, a lot of gear and stuff like that, right? What was kind of missing for me is what applications are they actually needing to run? I.e., with all that equipment, is there certain, are they running Logic? Are they running, like, how are they doing all that stuff? Are they only using that Mac for just pumping in the audio and video and streaming it out? Like, kind of left some questions in my mind. But what I liked about this question was, we get this question a lot, like, what Mac do I buy? But not usually in this like specific context, like, hey, this is actually a specific use case for this Mac. My immediate thought was actually, why does it have to be a laptop? And he did send a kind of a screenshot of all the equipment in the space, and it might be there's just not a lot of extra space for a monitor. But I feel like this is the kind of application where I would be thinking something more like a Mac Mini or a Mac Studio. Mainly because you've got a lot more connectivity, especially with all this gear and equipment. And I would assume a lot of this stuff's going to need to be plugged in. And, do you want to have an extra, hubs and stuff like that? And just the sheer power too. And you can get, I don't think you're going to need a big high quality monitor for this stuff. You could probably get away with a smaller sized LCD monitor that's pretty cheap. Like, it's going to be good enough for looking at your video, unless you're really concerned about color quality of your video or something like that. I don't know, maybe. But, I feel like it's all, and I doubt it's going to be moving around the church, but maybe they do need to move around the church and the laptop makes more sense. So I have a few questions, but overall I would be thinking, like a Mac Studio might be more in the range of what you would want for this kind of application.
Yeah, with the expansion, yes. For the CPU horsepower, I think that new M4 Mini is probably the right thing. Like, it's the right default to start with, which is exactly what the Mac Mini is supposed to be, right? Like, that's what it's engineered to be. I have a Mac Studio here in the studio, but like that M4 Mini would be way more appropriate for this. And you do get some ports. What you're missing is you get HDMI on both. You get 2 Thunderbolt on the 3 Thunderbolt on the Mini, and I believe 4 Thunderbolt on the Studio. I think the Studio might have an extra bus or something. Like, there might be a little bit more bandwidth there, but based on what you're talking about, I think an Air actually would have the horsepower to do all this, right? Yeah. Like, but I wouldn't get an Air for this. I would probably lean towards a Pro, but I'm with you, desktop all the way, unless there's a specific reason, like you said.
Yeah, like this screen, again, they just don't want a separate screen because of space. But
sure.
The Mini is going to be nice and compact, like in that space. Like, you can stash that thing anywhere. You can get a little underdesk mount. You could, like, there's lots of ways to handle that kind of a device. And then, like I said, like, you could probably mount your screen on an articulating arm and be able to move that around. And
you can even get a wireless screen. I mean, if you really want, like, those exist, they work. So. Yeah. I think it, like you said, we don't know what software they're going to run, but the reality is whatever they're running it on now is going to be slower than anything they would buy.
True.
So it's going to, and I realize the thing, I chuckle a little bit as I was reading this. It's like, I want to get a Mac that's powerful enough to handle any foreseeable new tech that we might want to integrate. It's like, well, I don't know that you'd find any lawyer who'd sign off on that. Right. But
my
I get
first
what
hard
you're
drive
saying.
was 40 megabytes. I'm never going to fill that up.
Right. Exactly. We can't know what we don't know. But I understand what you're saying. Like, within the realm of possibilities, what are you going to throw at this thing? And you've got some gear there. So I would be if it has to be a laptop, it'd be a MacBook Pro. But otherwise, I really think that M4 Mini is.
Let me add something to that, if I could, then please. He's probably already got a laptop because he had to write to us somehow. Just a wild guess here.
Yes.
I run my Mini headless. Right off the laptop. So you don't even have to buy a monitor or have a monitor if you don't, if you want to try and do it that way. A little more difficult, not ideal, but
if you're doing video editing on it, probably not.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
But
and if you want to live manage, I don't know if they've got a multiple camera setup or like what they're doing, like streaming wise too. You're probably going to want to be able to manage all that as you're broadcasting out to YouTube and what have you.
Yeah.
But you could spend thousands, many thousands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Is right. Yeah,
Apple's willing to take your money.
Yeah, but again, like I think Dave's right. Like the Mini, what that's going to be, depending upon your configuration, $800,000 maybe if you're getting the high end one.
Yeah.
And then you got $100 for a monitor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're done.
You're done.
Great machines. Yeah.
Yep.
And then as Soccer always points out, you could even go, the refurb route if you wanted to even save a little bit more money and get an M2 or M3 or something like that.
Totally.
Yeah. So if you want to be really budget conscious, you could get it down there. But I mean, it sounds like he's got carte blanche, and I don't think like if you're going the MacBook Pro route, you're going to be well into the $2,000-$3,000 range. So he can get set up for like a third the cost, basically, probably, or at least half.
Yep.
And be better off.
It depends. I mean, if you go with a Mac Studio, I think you're a new one. You're walking in the door, and it's $2,000 to start. Yeah. But the Mac Mini is $600 to start. You probably spend $1,000 on it. Because that's what I would do.
Your RAM and the storage and stuff like that. Yeah, by the time you can figure that stuff in. Because, again, you're doing video, so you're going to want probably, 16. Does it come with 16 now standard, I'm assuming? I think
16 is standard. I would put 24, at least 24 in it.
And then a terabyte, 2 terabytes of storage.
Yep, exactly.
Minimum, and you're done.
Yeah. And just briefly looking at refurb.me, a M4 Mac Mini with 24 gigs is $975.
Yeah. There you go.
So,
yep. And how much storage on that, Pete?
You ask difficult questions. 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 512. So
that's $999 brand new from Apple.
Yeah. So that's only $24 off. But
yeah, I'd still buy it from Apple. But
yeah. But again, like if you go last generation M2, M3, you're probably going to
that's where you're going to save some money.
$100.
Yep.
And those processors will do what you need them to do.
Yep.
But again, they trust them, and you probably want latest and greatest, especially if you're a church. You're going to want it to have longevity. So I feel like doing that investment now is not going to. It's going to be good for long-term prospects. I mean, and that M4, that's going to give you many years of service, I would imagine. Like, I know he brought up like anything we can throw at it at the future. You're going to get a good 5, 6, 8 years out of that, probably. I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think a 10-year life for many use cases and a 6 to 8 year life for the more aggressive ones these days is accurate. Yeah, especially once we get snow Tahoe. So
there you go.
All right, should we go to Jose?
Sure.
Is that me?
I think so, Adam.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, yes. Jose, let's see, says, hey, guys, is it possible to migrate my user settings that I have on my existing iMac to my newly purchased MacBook Pro? I want my user settings that I set up on my iMac to be the same on this second machine. I attempted to use Migration Assistant by selecting to migrate settings, but it doesn't seem to include menu settings, Finder appearance, control center, trackpad settings, wallpaper desktop, essentially all the way I want my iMac to look. I'm not looking to migrate any files or apps or users, just the look. How do you guys set up your multiple Macs to look like one another? I don't think you've covered this topic much. Thanks a bunch, Jose.
So I took the liberty of answering that question. No, can't do it. now we go to, no, just kidding. Look, this is the one thing that when I buy a new Mac, it's the one thing I don't look forward to the most, which is having to get all my little tweaks and upgrades and keyboard shortcuts and all that stuff migrated over. And it's worse if I decide to nuke and pave and do a completely new user setup. I don't think there's a way to do it. macOS has doesn't have, I should say, a clean way to migrate everything in. To my knowledge, if you guys know of a way to just get the user settings over, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it, but I don't think it exists. I think you have to pull in a vast majority of the user account to get many of your settings over. Am I wrong?
Not to my knowledge. No.
Yeah.
No.
I hear it goes. I'm going to say it. I think you're host, Jose. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, but like is this not something that this isn't an uncommon desire. Like I've had this desire. I just have, and I could be wrong. Like feedback at macgeekgab.com. If you know of a way to do it, please send us an email. So
this use case is you're not migrating your whole user folder. You just want settings kind of synced.
Yeah, the look and feel, I think was the words he used in his email.
Yeah, mouse settings, trackpad settings, all of that stuff. Wallpaper, desktop. I definitely understand the desire. I've just always thought it was impossible, and so it's like, well, I just do it manually. And if something doesn't feel right on a Mac, it's like, I probably need to tweak that one thing, and then okay, now it's tweaked. But if I change it, it doesn't sync amongst them. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never lived in this world where I have multiple. I guess I've never lived in this world where I'm using multiple Macs. I've always been a one.
Yeah.
Guy. So it's just like I've never run into this actual problem. Like,
yep.
I have two Macs with different user accounts or whatever. I just have my one Mac and I migrate everything over, and my entire user folder comes over with all my everything in it.
Yeah, I took this to mean that he was going to keep his iMac and use the MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could do a full migration assistant and then rip out all the stuff that you don't want. But I think it's easier to do it the manual way from start. Yeah.
When I get a new machine, I count on just spending an afternoon getting all my settings and all my stuff over that I want, assuming I'm not doing migration assistant. Sure. And then, of course, spending the next several months going, oh yeah, I didn't put that on this machine yet.
Right.
Is there time I'm done? It's time for a new machine.
Is there a painful world where you go into your library folder, your preferences folder, and start copying over plist files manually or something like that?
Yes. I mean, in theory, this is possible. Like something, you could write a script that would look at all of the plist files on one Mac and pull out the relevant information. You wouldn't just want to copy plist files from one to the other necessarily, but pulling out the relevant settings, tweaks, and all of that stuff, and then applying them to either that Mac again, if you were to
right.
It is almost feels like one of those, network admin. I need to go set up 25 Macs. Here's a profile that I'm going to install. Right? Like, am I onto something? Am I stumbling into a world where I don't have enough knowledge, but maybe there's an answer? So,
yeah, is there DMD? I mean, DMD software can, in theory, do this, right?
Right.
DMD, am I saying the right thing?
MDM.
MDM.
Mobile device management, but it applies to
multiple device management, whatever you want to call it. Because I know my IT uses that. I mean, they have a profile for setting up a new machine, and they have different ones for different departments and different people. So like when we get a new employee and they get a Mac or a PC, he has software that he just runs, and it just puts all the applications and I know it, I'm pretty sure it sets up all the settings and the stuff, because he's not going in there and manually like locking these machines down in terms of like their settings or where things are. So
right.
It's putting on the desktop, it's putting on the, the default corporate desktop, it's putting on the all that stuff gets set. So yeah. And Apple has their own tool, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head either.
So
all right. I said it before, feedback at macgeekgab.com. Let us know if you know the answer to this.
You heard him both times. Feedback at macgeekgab.com. Write us now.
Let's hear it
Pull
3
over
times.
and write to us.
Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
All right, we've got time. We can keep on trucking down these questions. You want to take us to Gary, Pete?
I can do that because I have it all called up. Gary wrote in. He says, a quick question for me. Can you recommend an app that I can use to spot duplicate files on an external drive? I have a 20 terabyte with 60 gigabytes open. My iTunes MP3 files, and I have a mess on my hands. Any guidance is appreciated. Many thanks and happy, healthy holidays.
I mean, my default answer to this would be Gemini 2 from MacPaw.
Yeah.
That is they call it the intelligent duplicate file finder. So that's where I would start for sure. I'm sure. I also am sure there are other apps out there. There's probably, there's a free download of that. I'm sure it's, feature limited or something. It's some kind of freemium thing, but that would be the place to start. That's been around for a long time. They keep it up to date, and yeah.
Yep. The other one that comes to mind for me is Find Any File, and I don't remember.
Does that find duplicates too?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't. I think you're kind of going to have to do that on your own.
On your own, okay.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm looking at it now. I'm looking for it's findanyfile.app.
Oh, they have a script in version 2.5. They added a script for finding duplicate files. So
there you go. It filters nicely. So okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I'll put a link to that.
And I'll throw out the general PSA. Gemini 2 is part of Setup.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Not that we're trying to promote or sell Setup, but
no, well, MacPaw is a CES coverage sponsor, so I candidly I have not gotten the list of things that we're going to talk about from them yet, but they do make that, so there you go.
They do, but the value just it comes back over and over again, folks. I know different people feel differently about subscription applications and stuff like that, but like the number of times where even one-off, I think we've mentioned this in the past, sometimes I need a one-off little utility to do something like this. I'm not going to leave it installed forever, but it's just like, I got to deal with these duplicates. All right. What's in Setup? Oh, look, perfect utility. This is going to solve my problem right now. I don't have to buy anything extra. I already got access. It's kind of nice. It's a
very nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It pays for itself almost.
Yep.
All right.
We're
going to do one more, or are we?
Question from David. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're only at like 107 here. So unless you have a hard out, Adam, we can do more. Okay, great.
We're good.
David says, I've been listening to your discussions about bartender issues in Tahoe and other programs that can help with menu bar problems. I recently upgraded to an M3 Air and have a notch now in the middle of the menu bar area. I've used Fantastical for years, learning about it from your show. Its best feature is the ability to click on the menu bar icon and immediately start typing appointment details, which Fantastical figures out and saves to my Mac's calendar. However, I can't reliably make the Fantastical menu bar icon appear. I assume it's hidden behind the notch. Fantastical is running and the settings indicate it should be present, but it's only occasionally visible. Do you have any suggestions to ensure the Fantastical icon consistently appears? If not, can you help me make it visible again?
Yes, I can. And this actually would work for any icon that falls or gets hidden under the notch. Yeah, it's really annoying that happens. They get like, if your menu bar gets too long, it gets pushed under the notch. There is the classic tip, which I'm sure we've covered many times before, where if you hold down the command key and click on most menu bar icons, not all of them, some can't be moved around, but most of them can be moved. So you hold down the option key, you click on the icon, and you slide it over. And so what you can do, actually, and I verified this on my own with the notch because my Fantastical was hidden under the notch as well when I turned off bartender. But when I could actually drag an icon under the menu bar. And when I did that, guess what? The one that was under the menu bar popped out to the right. It's like bloop.
Oh, you made it move.
Yeah, so you can
awesome.
move ones that you care less about under the menu bar, or under the notch rather, and then that will probably expose a Fantastical one. But to guarantee that Fantastical does not fall under there, what I would do is click on it and drag it as far over to the right as you're comfortable with, so that it can't get pushed off by other apps. And what often happens is, sometimes apps will throw something into the menu bar just when you have the app open. So I'm assuming what's happening, because he said sometimes he's got the Fantastical, sometimes he doesn't. I would assume, depending upon what apps are running, it might be that something throws something into the menu bar while the app is open, and then that pushes Fantastical under there. But even better yet is, if you're just for Fantastical owners, you can set that little mini menu to pop up when you activate a keyboard shortcut. So you can go into the settings, general, and down at the bottom, you can set a quick keyboard shortcut to make that menu come up. And that's even faster for entering your calendar entries, because you just hit your hotkeys and then start typing. So you don't even have to click on the menu bar. The only thing I will advise there, if you're using an app like Bartender, there's a setting to detach that window, because normally it comes down like in a little pane, like a drop-down pane from the menu bar, where it's like attached to the wherever the icon is on the menu bar. If you're using Bartender, that gets messed up, and it like, if your bartender icon is under the notch or something like that, it gets pushed way off the screen. So you want to detach it, because then it becomes a floating window. You can put it where you want it to come up kind of on your screen when you hit the hotkey.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Isn't there, I don't have my laptop in front of me, obviously. Isn't there an option for turning off the notch, aka making the screen a little bit less tall, so that you get a static menu bar across the top?
I thought the same thing, and I went looking for that. I didn't find it, but I think you're absolutely right.
It's definitely there somewhere. Yeah. I don't remember how, but it's there. So that would be certainly for when you're kind of messing with these things and trying to get it all set right, invoking that, however you might be able to invoke it. And I'm sorry for pulling this out and not having now I'm searching for notch here, but it wouldn't be on this computer. So
yeah, they don't call it notch.
No, of course they don't. Yeah, it's the dynamic. I don't know. It's not, but is it in? Is
Looking
it
at
in
desktop and dock, which is where I would assume it would be, but
yeah,
maybe it's under displays. I don't know.
Would it be in Control Center? Settings Control Center? I feel like there's at the bottom of that are some menu bar kind of options. Again, I'm not on a laptop, so I can't. But
I'm poking around, but I don't.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it.
We'll find it. We will circle back with that, because I think that would be a handy way of just at least while you're rearranging things, to not have to contend with the notch.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I feel like we have time for one more, and this is a good one. You want to take us to Donald, Pete? You want to unmute yourself and take us to Donald, please, Pete? Yep, there it is.
See, watch me hit the unmute button, because
perfect, great.
New water heater going in. I didn't think you guys wanted to hear that
thank
going
you.
on. So
Yeah. Thanks for that.
So Donald writes in. He says, "Hello, gentlemen." Thank you, Donald. I have about 3 terabytes of images and videos stored in folders based on the date the images were taken. I'd love to be able to use some of the cool features and photos on the Mac, but not sure how to go about it. Would I need to import all of the images into Photos? I presume that would mean that I need to find drive space for what would then be a huge Photos library, and end up with essentially 2 copies of every image. Thanks for any advice, Donald.
So good news. You're right that you need to have your pictures in a library for Photos to work with them, to do all the things that you want to do. But Photos does have an option that lets you choose whether or not you copy photos to your library folder when you are adding them to your library. So you can add photos to the library, but still have it point to them over there so you don't wind up with 2 copies. So the first thing I would do is open Photos and get it open with the library that you want to pull these things into. And if you want to create a new library, there's a keyboard shortcut. As you click, like what you're going to do is get your finger floating over the Option key, and then you click to launch Photos and immediately push down on the Option key once it has started launching. And you'll get a little interface that lets you choose from multiple Photos libraries if you have multiple, or will allow you to create other Photos libraries. So if you want to put all this in a new one, that's what you would do. Then once you have that library open and it's the one that you want to have all these pictures indexed by, go into Settings General and you'll see an option for importing that says copy items to the photo. There I am, iPhoto. Copy items to the Photos library. And it's checked by default. And if you uncheck it, then it won't. It will just index them again over there. However, there's a caveat, and it's listed right there on the screen. You won't miss it. Only items copied to the library will upload to iCloud Photos. For your use case, I don't think you want these things in iCloud, so I don't think that's an issue. But just for anybody who's thinking about doing this, that would be the one limitation of this, is that iCloud Photos the photos must be actually stored. The photos themselves must be stored within the library in order to sync with iCloud Photos. But otherwise, that's it. Turn that off. Then start adding all your photos in, and it'll index them without creating a duplicate copy. So that should do it for you. And it's a setting I never realized was there until I started looking to answer Donald's question. So
I took the longest time when I switched over to let then iPhoto now Photos finally just take it all and take control. But it's so feature rich, it's worth it, in my humble opinion. Let go and let Photos, I used to say,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree.
You won't be sorry.
It's a really good organizational app. I mean, it has its shortcomings like anything does, but yeah, I like it.
Well,
all right,
don't run
Adam.
out an ass.
Right. Yeah. Adam, do you have anything? I think this is your final episode of the year, right? Am I right
probably,
about that?
yeah.
Yeah, because we're probably not going to make a schedule work amongst the 3 of us to record for the 29th. So for the episode that would release on the 29th. So this is your final Mac Geek Gab of the year, and then we'll be together for the next one. Yeah.
See everybody in 2026 then.
I guess so. That's right. Do you have anything that you wanted to cover, or are we on our way out here?
Oh, did I have a thing?
Do you have? I mean, I just didn't want to pull the rug out from under you if you were like, oh, but before we go, there's one more thing. But it's like I'm not teasing anything that I'm aware of. I'm literally asking the question.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I don't have anything other than I hope everybody has a happy and safe holidays and gets to spend some downtime with friends and family. Maybe put all the devices away. Go outside and enjoy some together time, and just, I don't know. We're going to be playing, I'm sure, some board games and stuff like that. That's what we like to do in our family. But whatever you like to do, get away from the screens for a little while. Just enjoy friends and family. I hope everybody has an opportunity to do that. And enjoy. Have a great New Year as well.
Well said.
Well, yeah, agreed. Well said. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for everything. Pete and I, we will be doing a show next week. It's most likely schedule-wise. I don't think we can make the 3 of our schedules collide in the beautiful way that we usually do. So I think it's just going to be me and Pete. But we will be here. Thanks to you for everything. Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Thanks to all of our sponsors, our CES 2026 sponsors, and of course the sponsors for this episode. You can always find out about those at macgeekgab.com/sponsors. All their latest deals are kept up to date there. If you haven't got enough of Adam and you need more, the Debut Film Podcast is the show that he does with his daughter. If you want more of Pete, So There I Was is the aviation podcast that he does. And then I do Business Brain and Gig Gab for entrepreneurs and musicians, respectively. Leave us those reviews. We love it. macgeekgab.com/review. Love that stuff. And, thanks.
if you're listening to audio, tomorrow is Festivus. And I got to say, I got a lot of problems with you people. And now you're going to hear about them.
On all days, but especially on Festivus, you just want to make sure that you don't get caught.
Made on